So we have 2 online sessions of 90 minutes each week. And that's the time, what, like I said before, we do communicative activities, class presentation, debate, discussion, games, movie sessions. We don't try to do too many quizzes and tests. That's more for their own time. They can do it outside of the classroom. And then maybe you want to share in the chat some of the synchronous activities you do as well. But in our classroom, we don't want to be given some lecture or grammar instruction. We want the students to do that on their own time. So the students, we create tutorial videos or have different tutorial videos for them to watch outside of the classroom, do the different readings, writing assignments, work on voice thread activities, discussions, boards, and do the quizzes and the tests. And like mentioned before, we use Microsoft Teams. That's a place when we can share information quickly. Maybe the students have a question for us, so we have a quick reminder, and that's where we communicate. As well as Google Docs, where we can use it as a place to collaborate for different projects or group presentations.
Yeah, the quizzes and tests can be done either during live session or outside live session. If it happens during live session, it's normally a speaking and listening. It's like an oral assessment. Or if I want to check their handwriting, but doesn't happen very much. Most of the components of our quizzes and tests happen on Blackboard with analog proctoring system. On this slide, I'm going to share with you an example of an activity I designed and to use for live session. But before I start, when you switch to online teaching from brick and mortar classroom, what are some of the specific difficulties you have encountered, or what was difficult to actually carry out or conduct in online classroom when COVID-19 happened? You had to do everything like during the spring break in 1 or 2 weeks. What were some of the difficulties you have encountered? So here, I do want to point out to develop the curriculum and lesson plans and visual aids do require lots of preparation and planning. And again, what we're sharing here are experiences that worked well for us. It does require time and effort. Hopefully these examples and experience can serve as some tips or shortcuts for you when you prepare for the coming school year. So this is a example of students going to a hospital to like he or she is having allergy. And the context, let me turn my annotate. This is the context I give them before the exercise starts. So to me, contextual authenticity is on the top of the priority list of things to keep in mind when I design or give students an activity in class. So like, for example, like when I study English, we were taught to say, when someone says thank you, I would respond, you're welcome or my pleasure. But if it's in a grocery context in the US, when the cashier or the person bagging my grocery are done with my thing, they will say thank you. I would not say you're welcome right there, right? So I will say thank you back. So that's why context is very important. Within that authentic context, then you can assign correspondingly roles and script. So here, the reason why there are a lot of pictures so that students can understand, going to see a doctor in China works very different from how we do in the US. So we do not call up the doctor's office to make an appointment. You can either book online or just do walk-in. This one is a walk-in example. And these two pictures here are props I give to 2 different students. So I use Teams to deliver this image to them. using chat function. So they don't know what the other student got. They have different symptoms. So that's one way to keep, so if I'm calling on student A to do this activity with me, that's one way to keep student B to be engaged, because he doesn't know what his classmate got from me, the visual, the prop. So he has to pay attention the whole time. Like, you know, when you're teaching online, you don't know what they're doing on the other side of the internet on their screen. So keeping them engaged is very important. After receiving the prop from me, then we'll start one round of playing the doctor. Actually, I'm playing different roles. Right here, they're paying the fee to see the doctor. So I'll be the person behind the window collecting the money and assigning the student a number. And then the student goes to a waiting area, and then I'll play the role of the nurse calling his name and number. And then in the doctor's office, I'll play the role of doctor and then listen to the student to describe his symptoms, and then ask him to go get an allergy test. Yeah, here he comes to an area where he pays the fee for the allergy test. So see, you can already see the difference. In the US, after you see a doctor, you may have to go somewhere else, like a lab, to get your test done on a different day, because you have to call and schedule another different appointment to get a lab test done. But in China, everything happens in one hospital building. Everything's paid on that day. And then, so here, after paying for the allergy test, the student received an allergy test. I will be doing the test, and I'll draw a picture like matching the arm with all the lines with one number highlighted in red. See it's itching right here. That shows you're having allergy to cats. And then, so after student done with that lab test, he goes back to see the doctor again. Doctor will go over the lab test, which is me, in Chinese, of course. And then the doctor will prescribe medicine for the students. And the student have to go pay the fee again, and then go pick up his medicine, or his or her medicine. And then this last example here are medicine I give student, again using Teams, so they don't know what the other student got from the doctor. So two important things: one is to create information gap while you're delivering this exercise. So like I mentioned right here, and the bottom here, students don't know what their classmate got from me, so they have to pay attention. And when I'm done with one round of student-teacher interaction, I always go to other students and ask them content question. So what was his symptoms? What were his symptoms? And how much did he pay to see the doctor? How much did he pay to get the allergy test done? What medicine did he get from doctor? And how many times he's supposed to take whatever medication a day? What is this cream for? So the content question I'll ask students who are not doing this role play with me. And this way I can keep all of them focused on the exercise, although only one student was talking to me at that time. Okay, next, let me clear join. I'll show you a video clip of student performance. And then before I start that, I would like to just point out that the video is very short, so I can't include everything. So there's no context setup or role assigning in the video. And but you'll get the idea. 你喜欢什么颜色的？
蓝色。
好，蓝色的这件夹克怎么样？
好。
好，您穿多大的？
给我小号的。
好，小号我们有，你要试一下吗？
好，可以。
一共151块2毛4。
好，这是200块。
好，收您200块，找您48块7毛6。
谢谢，谢谢。
好，这是您的大衣和裤子。
谢谢，谢谢，我很喜欢。
好的，
再见。
谢谢，再见。
我现在都是上地铁5号线坐2线，然后换1号线坐时间做到了。
我现在在上线上地铁13号线坐4站， 然后换2号线，坐3站，就到了复兴门。
喂，你好，春秋旅行社。
你好，我想去香港，我现在在北京，我可以买一张往返机票吗？
好，您想什么时候走，什么时候回来
4月17号说4月30号回来。
如果要直飞到香港，只有有5个航班到香港。
好。
有2个2018块钱。有3个2029块钱。
好。飞的时间差不多吗？
都差不多4个小时。
So as you can see, describing the subway, taking the subway and also booking a ticket, I used the actual subway map of Beijing, and I used the Xiecheng website, which is a real ticket booking website. So it's always exciting for students to use, or to get to see or get to use authentic materials, and then that way what they're getting from you in class can be directly applied to real world. And also maybe you notice there's some delay or glitching in this part where students are calling up the travel agent to book a ticket. So that's another reason why flipped classroom model works better for online teaching, is because when you teach grammar outside of class by giving students recording or handout, the time can be saved to do more interactive activity, because you may encounter technical issues. The speaking was fairly slow right there. I don't know if you noticed, because he was seeing both my end of the internet and his end are acting slow, so he was hesitating. So when you can fully utilize the classroom, the live session time to do exercise, it will work better that way. That's another reason why we use the flipped classroom model. Next.
So I would like to talk to you how we design and deliver the different games or activities during the online session. And I would like to ask you if you can maybe share in the chat which games or activities were challenging to transfer to the online classroom. So first, I would like to, while you do that, I would like to talk to you about how in the online classroom, in my Spanish class, as a recommendation, when we are doing class discussion, I always like to have a PowerPoint slide where I include the questions for the students. So for example, in this first slide, we are talking about hypothesis, what someone will do in different situations. And it's just a very short question. The next slide has the different questions and circumstances, but I like that they can see that and they have a visual example. And you can always stop sharing the screen as soon as they finish seeing that example, so everybody can see each other during the online classroom. And then you can go back and share that slide. So then we can think of games. Games can be very difficult sometimes to think of how I'm going to do a board game in my online classroom. It's so easy in the in-person classroom, which is place a board, give the different pieces, the dice, but here now we need to think beforehand how to do that, and we can do it. For example, I have here an online board. I share my screen and everybody can see the board, and have one student who is in charge of an online dice. And I will ask all the students who to include their initials in the board, and as they move for the different boxes, they will be erasing their initials and moving their initials, since we don't have the actual pieces for the board game. So we can do board games. this particular game I created thinking of the vocabulary we needed to address. I couldn't find anything online. I recommend that you always go and search. There are a lot of different tools, but sometimes if you can't find anything, you might have to create your own. There are also in the different activities like a bingo that we can also do in the online classroom. We can have a bingo with numbers, or we can have a bingo with different boxes and questions. But you will have to think before the beginning of the class, like Inshin say, to submit that bingo card before the beginning of the class. So we don't take time of class delivering and sending all that material. So a couple of minutes, 5-10 minutes before, depending what you have planned for that day. Another tool that I like to use for a game is this wheel. It's called Wheel Decide. If you go to the website, there's a wheel that you can include like different words, sentences, and you just click and the wheel spins and you have the different questions of options for the students. So pretty much, as you can see, you can do most of the things you will do in the online classrooms. It just takes a little bit more of preparation. In the next slide.
Sorry, Andrea. I
Yeah.
saw a question about placement testing online. So for placement testing, we have listening comprehension, multiple choice, true or false, like grammar or reading, if it's in like a true or false format, or multiple choice, or even writing, like translating a sentence or writing a short essay. That's all set up on Blackboard. And then we use analog proctoring to proctor students. So their screen and their face will be recorded. And then when it comes to speaking and interviewing and handwriting, I meet with them on Zoom in live session to test that.